What's going on, everybody? C4, welcome back to more C4, your home for all things Philadelphia Eagles here on the YouTubes. And Philadelphia made a signing. I did a video priming who I would sign if I was the Philadelphia Eagles. And look at my top running back. Look at my top running back. Subscribe if it's your first time stopping by. Hey, don't be afraid to hit that like button because we absolutely crushed the predictions here. I know the Eagles. I just know I might not be able to break down the X's and O's. That's not my strength. My strength is roster building, strength and weaknesses, knowing what players are going to fit. RASHAAD Penny always was going to fit the Philadelphia Eagles. And we'll talk about that signing in just 1 second. I still don't have the number as well, which is the most important thing that I'm still kind of waiting to. I can't throw out a grade on Philadelphia signing RASHAAD Penny, but I didn't really want to react to how guys we lost in day one on its own in a video. I want at least some positive to talk about because we knew it was going to be a bloodbath for the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't have a lot of salary cap. We're always going to lose guys. Yesterday we lost Epps to the Raiders. We lost Dillard, who's likely going to be a starter for the Tennessee Titans. The two big losses yesterday. One was Javon Hargrave going $80 million. What was it, 40 guaranteed to the 49ers. I think it just stings that it went to the Niners. It's going to arguably our top competition in the NFC. I don't think I would have paid that contract if Philly had the amount of salary cap that some of these other teams do, and you said we could comfortably afford that money they gave Javon Hargrave. I don't necessarily know if I would at 30 years old. Like, if I'm paying that amount of money, I kind of hope that they're like a complete defensive tackle. Hargrave is a pure interior pass rusher. Not great against the run. Like, there's a reason why last season, remember everyone's like, oh my God, how did Philly get Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh like mid-season off the street? We had to do that because when Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave were on the field, teams were just running it down our throats. It was not great. So if you're paying $20 million for a D lineman, I'd rather hope they're a little bit more well-rounded than Hargrave. But what he does well, he does as good as any D tackle in the NFL. He's been as consistent of an interior pass rusher, getting sacks, getting production. So it is a loss. I'm not going to act like, oh, it's not that. It's a loss for sure. Philly's got to find a way to replace that. You know, maybe someone like Kalijah Cansey in the draft is going to push up Eagles draft boards because he'd be able to plug and play in that role, or a breakout for Milton Williams. But that was a big loss. Likely will get a third-round comp pick for losing that. And the other big loss was TJ Edwards going to the Chicago Bears at like a reasonable contract. I was very surprised to see that cap number. It was like $7 million per year. Salary cap's tight for Philadelphia, but I think in hindsight, once the dust is settled for free agency, we kind of have our roster set up before the draft. We can look back at hindsight and argue, like, would I have paid what the Bears paid TJ Edwards? Right now, I'm leaning towards I probably would have matched that offer for what TJ Edwards brings. Plus, it's always nice keeping your success stories around. Edwards, UDFA, worked his way up from special teams to become a starter. But it is what it is. And literally right before I hit record, Philadelphia also lost Kaiser White. He's following Jonathan Gannon and the Arizona Cardinals. I think it was a 2-year, $11 million deal. Again, reasonable money. It's just not a position Howie Roseman pays for. So, Nakobe Dean season, man. It's Nakobe Dean season, and we're either going to target a linebacker in the draft maybe earlier than we like to. So I'd keep a look at, Jack Campbell's my top linebacker right now. Trenton Simpson at a Clemson looks solid, or maybe we're just going to find some value pick. Or, hey, we hit something here. We hit a home run already at running back. Maybe we'll find a way to bring in one of the, I think Kendrick's already signed. I think he signed with the Chargers, but Levante David's out there. We could poach Leighton Vander Esch, I suppose, right? He could complement Nakobe Dean. Either way, but we're going to just gloat a little bit that we got, first signing is a guy that I highlighted. And it's not necessarily, oh my God, how did I had the third Joe Rogan eye got smoked a lot of weed and could just see how this Eagles offseason was going to go. RASHAAD Penny is really freaking good. Let's look at some Twitter reactions. We have Brett Coleman, awesome, one of my favorite content creators. Says RASHAAD Penny's going to lead the league in rushing if he stays healthy behind the. I mean, you look at the numbers here. We have most yards after contact. RASHAAD Penny, far and away the best. Obviously, some of that is affected by his availability. He hasn't played a whole lot. Hasn't played the amount of snaps of these guys to have maybe it average out a little bit, but it still breaks a threshold of 150 carries. And anytime you're the top on a list that includes Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and I mentioned Tony Pollard in there because I'm a big Tony P fan, not because he's on that echelon. It's pretty good. We also have next-gen stats that just show how explosive of a runner RASHAAD Penny is. First in yards per carry, first in yards for contact, fourth in yards over expected. And that's if you told me that. You told me, and that's because he's been playing behind some pretty shit Seattle Seahawks offensive line. Seahawks offensive line, maybe they're on the back, way back up after last year's draft, hitting on both tackles there, Lucas and Cross. But for the most part, Rashad Penny, since he's been in the league, has not been behind a great offensive line. So the fact that he's been fourth in yards over expected, which means those are yards he's earning, not going to have to earn a whole lot of yards behind the Philadelphia Eagles offense. The biggest thing for him is availability. Like when you want to look at the positives of Rashad Penny, you want to look at the reason why I put someone like Rashad Penny at the top of my running back list for targets for Philadelphia, is look at how he finished out the 2011 season. 135 against Chicago, 170 against Detroit, 190 against Arizona. When healthy, Rashad Penny is truly ridiculous. But he needs to be healthy. That's, I'm going at it on Twitter. A little tongue-in-cheek, but I truly am not worried about the Giants getting Darren Waller. I think Darren Waller's likely washed, but change of scenery, and if he can stay healthy, the availability for Darren Waller, it could absolutely work out for the New York Giants if he can stay healthy, if his availability is there. Last 2 years, Darren Waller's barely been on the field, and I don't know a lot of injury-prone players that come back and have their best season at 31. That's kind of my thinking. But if he stays healthy, that's a weapon. There's no issues having the second best tight end in the division behind Dallas Goedert and Darren Waller for the Giants. That's a good gift for the Giants if he's healthy. But you have to be incredibly fair and say that's the same thing here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Waiting on the number here for Rashad Penny. Have yet to see what the figure is. I got to record right now. My kid's almost home from school. This is my window to react to this signing. But as much as you see that small sample size, and hey, if he stays healthy, man, Rashad Penny is going to be insane beyond the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. But he has to stay healthy. And it's a position, especially at running back, that injury-prone players don't usually magically find a way to stay healthy. Maybe being part of a running back by committee and not feeding him. What did he have in those games? 17, 20, 25. He's not going to get 25, 23 carries here in Philadelphia. So, if we can limit his touches, maybe that will help him stay healthy. I just need to see the number on this one. If it's a flyer, if it's a contract that's low in guarantees, high in incentives, which he's got to stay healthy to hit, that is going to be the perfect contract. And knowing Howie Roseman, I'm kind of hoping that is how his contract is structured. But, it's blind optimism. You got to be like the Giants fans. You got to be blindly, cautiously optimistic that Darren Waller can stay healthy and he's going to be a great tight end. Same needs to be said with Rashad Penny. It's fair to be cautiously excited that what he will be able to do on our offense if he can stay healthy. But that is a big time if. So I hope when the numbers come in, it's a low guarantee, high incentive contract, but signing on day 2 of free agency, likely it's good money. Then again, if I was an agent of a running back that needs to make the most out of an opportunity, Philadelphia absolutely would be the top offense, I think. Be Philly and San Francisco would be the two teams all right, I want my guy go there. Maybe a short-term contract because he's going to ball out and be able to cash. It's exciting, though. It is an exciting player. What Rashad Penny does well is an upgrade over Miles Sanders. But time will tell if he can stay healthy and truly be that upgrade over Miles Sanders. I would love to see still Philadelphia, maybe bring back Boston Scott. I think Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell backfield, I'm fine with that. It might put the final death blow in the dream of potentially landing Bijan Robinson in the draft. I literally watched the Kelsey, New Heights podcast. Big fan. They did it yesterday or whatever episode dropped this week. They did a part at the Combine where it was Jason Kelsey talking with Daniel Jeremiah. Daniel Jeremiah has gone on record, said during the Combine broadcast, he would love to see Bijan Robinson go to the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought it was a great take. I think it's the positional value cost versus the opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost of Bijan Robinson going to Philadelphia might be more valuable, might be more enticing than necessarily the positional value cost of no one wants to draft a running back in the first round. And then he told that to Kelsey. They just both laughed. Kelsey's there's no way how he's drafting a running back in the first round. So, maybe depending on the number for Rashad Penny, it likely ends the hope for Bijan Robinson, which, it's probably the smarter thing to do anyways. But it's all about the guaranteed. I want to see the guaranteed money, and we need to see him healthy. But if we want to be optimistic, which is all you can really be right now at this point in the offseason, a healthy Rashad Penny in Philadelphia is an excellent signing for the Philadelphia Eagles. And not to pat myself on the back, but let's just keep going here. Let's not go and pay a lot of money for Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. That's who I talked about in that video. I was if we're getting a quarterback, Jacoby Brissett actually would be an excellent fit in Philadelphia. You can run the QB sneak almost as good as Jalen Hurts. has familiarity with Nick Sirianni. I just don't want to pay $7 million for a backup quarterback. Let's go out. Let's maybe get Jarvis Landry in the slot. Let's get a slot wide receiver. You know, you actually can add to this list with the rumors that Allen Robinson is going to the Jets. Let's just throw maybe even a trade for Elijah Moore. Buddies with A.J. Brown. Elijah Moore would be, I'd actually put that right now, number one. If Lazard, did I say Allen Robinson? If Allen Lazard goes to the Jets, I think a trade for Elijah Moore right there would be my number one option at slot. Go do that. I would consider, let's get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson figured out, right? Maybe get a veteran at linebacker. He probably not though. I think Avonte's still going to get a nice bag, but we'll see. I think Ioannidis could be a great signing. Great, get him on a 1-year, 2-year deal. There's your interior pass rusher. Him and Milton Williams can kind of both try to do the job of Javon Hargrave next season, plus whatever hell he wants to do in the draft, which could very well be targeting an interior pass rusher like, Kalijah Kancey, for an example. But hey, happy with this. Hopefully we start targeting more players on this list, adding, again, Elijah Moore there. But let me know what you guys think about the Rashaad Penny signing in the comment section below. I think it's a great signing for the Eagles. We got to be optimistic about it. Don't go dogging necessarily Giant fans for being optimistic that Darren Waller's going to work out when, the exact same context that could be applied to Darren Waller needs to be applied to Rashaad Penny. But let's all just be cautiously optimistic that we're going to be great next season. And also, let me know who do you think will be next for Philadelphia. You think it's going to be a contract extension with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? You got to be somewhat optimistic that we're at this stage in free agency, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and James Bradbury are still on the board. Maybe the market's not going to be ridiculous for those guys. So definitely something to monitor. And that will do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, your first time, don't be afraid whatsoever. Hit that subscribe button. Plenty of more Eagles content coming your way. We've got some draft content as well related to the Eagles we'll be dropping on the channel. Smash that like button if you're happy that we predicted Rashaad Penny. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.